The Mauler Mammoth was the original epic variant of the Mauler light machine gun in Infinite Warfare, and it's a completely reworked weapon with very, very high damage, but a very slow rate of fire and slow handling. It's very similar to the Gorgon from Black Ops 3, and I didn't think I would like this weapon because I didn't like the Gorgon from Black Ops 3, but I think I like this weapon a lot. Like, it's one of my favorite weapons in the game now, and it definitely has uses much more than like the Gorgon did, in my opinion. I think this game just caters to a slower playstyle more, and you're able to get out of the slower move speed by using Man-at-Arms, so I like this weapon a lot more than I did the Gorgon. Starting off with the damage, it'll be a 2-hit kill up to 48 meters. That's an absurd range, and you shouldn't ever be taking fights past that, so there really isn't any reason for advanced rifling, but if you did put on advanced, it would be a 57.6 2-hit kill. Like, that's even more absurd. Like, that just doesn't happen in this game, so I don't really use advanced rifling on this weapon. If you put a silencer on it, it's a 2-hit kill up to 36 meters, and that is still a very good 2-hit kill range. Like, it's very good, but it is much lower than 48. You're losing about 12 meters there, so I don't know if I'd put on silencer. If you stacked both silencer and advanced rifling, it would be a 2-hit kill up to 43.2 meters, and that's still an extremely high 2-hit kill range, and you would have the benefit of using a silencer. So I think if you had the room for both of those attachments, like you didn't like using the attachments I recommend, that is a definite loadout because you would benefit from having a suppressed weapon, and you would have still the range. But I just like to use no barrel attachment because I think this weapon is just fine the way it is, and I wouldn't really benefit much from a silencer with how I play with this weapon. Past the 2-hit kill range, so past 48 meters, it's just going to be a 3-hit for the rest of like eternity, unless you're shooting through objects, but I don't really find that shooting through things happens a lot in Infinite Warfare, so it's pretty much always going to be a 2-hit kill and then 3-hit if for some reason you're past 48 meters. It fires at 326 RPM. I think it's the slowest firing weapon in the game. It's an absurdly slow fire rate, and it feels much like a semi-auto, so you could just hold down the trigger to shoot. It's very effective if you're set up for the fight, like if you're prepared, if you know the map well, if you know where the enemy team's coming from, if you're pre-aiming like a common choke point or like cover piece that they're going to use, you're going to have a huge advantage in that fight and you're probably going to take it, but it's not a good reactionary weapon at all. It's not a good weapon for flying into a room and taking fights. It's not a room for clearing buildings. It's really a weapon that you have to be set up with to really make the most out of this weapon. I said earlier it makes you move slower, and to get away from that we're going to use Man-at-Arms with reactive armor. Man-at-Arms is always great with light machine guns because it gets rid of the slower move speed in general, like they all move slower, but this one moves even slower, so Man-at-Arms is even going to be even more useful, so it's just a great trait to use with any light machine gun, but it goes even better with the Mauler Mammoth. And again, reactive armor. Like I said, this weapon isn't good for reactive fights at all, so if you do get caught off guard and you have to take a reactive fight, you could just switch to your armor, and then that gives you the edge in this fight. It's, like I said, it's slow, like, Man-at-Arms doesn't get you out of the slow ADS time and the slow strafe speed, so even then, in the slow RPM, like slower RPM struggle up close. So this weapon just isn't good up close or fights that you're not prepared for, just because of how like detrimental it is to miss a bullet. When something fires slow, missing a bullet has much more weight than if it fires very quickly. It really doesn't matter that you miss that one bullet. So when it's firing slow and every bullet counts, you want to hit your shots as like quick as possible, and that's why I think being more defensive with this weapon is ideal. For my class loadout, I like to use the Elo sight, quick draw, stock, and foregrip. None of the other attachments really appeal to me. Like, I don't need laser sight. Like, I'm not going to be hip firing this weapon. I don't need FMJ because it's worthless in Infinite Warfare. I don't really find that I'm shooting through things often. Like the barrel attachments I'd already went into. And then I guess you could put on extended mags if you wanted, but I don't really find that I need more than 40 bullets. 40 bullets is fine. That's the clip size of this weapon. And that sounds low for a light machine gun, but you got to consider it's killing in 2 bullets consistently anyway, so that's more than enough ammo. You could get 20 kills with that in like an ideal world. And then hollow points isn't that useful because it's not going to make your 2-hit range into a 1-hit range. It would make your 3-hit range into a 2-hit range, but you're really not going to be fighting people past 48 meters anyway, so there's no reason to put hollow points. So I feel like quick draw, stock, and foregrip are really the only viable attachments. You could put on a VMC sight instead of the Elo, because this weapon does struggle at extremely long ranges because of how odd the recoil is. You want to like tap fire it at range. So I don't really need the VMC sight, but it's definitely a good option because it will reduce the recoil and make it easier to use at range just because it magnifies the target. So if you do have like issues tap firing it at range, which I really don't, like I said, it's a weapon that you want to be prepared for. So if I know it's a range that I need to tap fire for, it's not even hard for me to like process that I need to tap fire. I don't know. But like I said, you could use the VMC if you have struggle seeing, if you like have issues seeing, or if you just want to like not have to tap fire at ranges. I like to use the Hornet secondary on this class. Like most classes, it's just a very good up close weapon, and like I said, this weapon isn't good in up close ranges or reactive fights at all, and the Hornet excels at that. So in those ranges, or if you need to jump into a window or something, you could just pull out your Hornet and then go in with that. It's going to be better than pretty much any weapon anyways. Like, it's super good. other than like a shotgun will still beat you, but most of the submachine guns will get beat out by the Hornet in close range, so you're really not at a disadvantage when you switch to the Hornet. I've said several times this weapon isn't good at reactive fights, and those are just basically fights that you're not prepared for, or they're not in like, you don't already have the advantages by having like cover or being prepared for the fight prior to the enemy. This weapon really rewards knowledge of the spawns and flow of the map. If you're prepared for the fight, if you know like where the enemies are going to be coming from and you can put a piece of cover in between you and them, you're definitely going to win those fights, especially if it's at range. This gun obviously doesn't get weaker at range until 48 meters, which doesn't happen in Infinite Warfare really. So at like 30 meters, you're still the same weapon. Like you're not experiencing any like drawbacks of range, while most other weapons will be. Very few weapons haven't dropped off by then. So the longer range that you're away from the enemy and like the more cover you have in between them and like the more you're prepared, you just have so many advantages in that fight that there's really no way they could win it unless you're just really bad. Like nothing I'm doing in this gameplay is special. I feel like anybody could do this. It's not requiring like extremely good aim or reaction time or anything like that. I just know the maps well, I know the game well, I know where the enemies are going to be coming from, I know the popular like hot areas, and I know what cover I can use to shoot at people from those hot areas. So I'm doing good. Like I did good, really good in all these gameplays. I didn't have a bad gun while using this game yet, so it's really easy to use. I think anybody could use it. Just really comes down to knowing the game and playing disciplined and playing set up and structured, and not just running in there and trying to kill people as fast as possible. You want to let the enemies come into your zone, and I don't mean just camp in a corner, I mean like control popular areas on the map. It's really just ideal for a playstyle like that, and it dominates pretty much any weapon in the game. Like I said, I really enjoy this weapon. It's very effective for how you want to play with it. If you can like master the playstyle for this weapon and play like structured and slow, you're going to have a very good time using it. It's very effective, and it's very different from the base model, so I would definitely say it's worth the salvage. If you've been looking at the Mauler Mammoth or it just sounds like appealing to you, it's definitely a very easy to use weapon, and it's going to be a weapon that you can consistently do good with. That's going to be it for this video. Please like it if you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.